Hey guys, so this is basically in addition to my last video about the free speech rally. These recent events are the reason why those rallies are being organized much more often now, and this should be concerning anybody who is for free speech, because free speech is dying in the United Kingdom. Let's start from the top. Last week, Brittany and Martin Sellner, an American and an Austrian, were detained at the UK border right as they got off their flight. The couple was detained even though there were no actual charges against them. Martin was detained because he was planning to give a speech at Speaker's Corner, which, according to the Home Office, was going to incite tensions between local communities. Brittany was detained because she's a journalist and she was planning to have an interview with Tommy Robinson, who is, according to the Home Office, a far-right leader. Initially, Martin was planning to give his speech on Saturday evening at a private event. However, the venue had to cancel the event due to threats coming from the left wing, threats mainly coming from Antifa. However, the speech will still be read out this coming Sunday at Speaker's Corner by Tommy himself, which I will be attending and I will be making a video on as well. Let me express my view on this. I completely understand the position of the venue. If I was the owner or the administrator of a venue that was receiving threats for a planned event, I would probably cancel on my clients as well. I can't really blame the venue for this cancellation. This is the upsetting reality of the censorship of free speech. However, business is business, and business owners prefer to do their business with the least amount of risk, especially if there's a risk of being violently attacked and for the venue to be destroyed. The ones to blame here are the left-wing activists who can't comprehend the idea that somebody might be giving a speech that might go against their views and people will want to actually hear it. This idea is extreme and dangerous for them. We have actual extremists who glorify murderers and terrorists giving speeches here in the UK, but the left couldn't give less shit about this because that would be racist for them to care about this. However, a European patriot is literally inciting hate. Burn the place down and trash it as much as you can. Close down the event, because this is just unacceptable. That was sarcasm, by the way. Obviously, I am against any kind of violence, no matter who it is directed at. The venue cancelling on Martin was not going to stop him from giving a speech in London, obviously, so he moved his speech to Speaker's Corner, a place where everybody is welcome to come and talk and debate about whatever subject it might be. But as I've already said, Martin and his girlfriend got detained at the border, so unfortunately Martin's speech couldn't happen in the end. However, his Friends of Generation Identity got a hold of his new speech and read it out loud last Sunday. The event kind of turned into a rally for free speech, and free speech doesn't go hand in hand with those who want to silence free speech, especially with violence, aka Antifa. So obviously, Antifa complained on Facebook that our free speech rally is actually an anti-Antifa rally in disguise. Right. It's understandable why their last working brain cells made them come to this conclusion. We did have signs that literally had Antifa crossed over at the event. But do you know why we had those signs? Because it was Antifa who caused the initial event to get shut down in the first place. It is Antifa who tried to shut down any kind of free speech with violence. It is Antifa that call any kind of opposing view to their own hate speech. And obviously, a free speech rally is going to go against people who are against free speech. Simple, right? I don't think I should explain to you why shutting down events that go against your view is stupid as fuck. This is common sense to almost anybody. This is just as stupid as trying to shut down a concert because you don't like the artist or the music that they play. Somebody doesn't like Taylor Swift, so they gather up a mob, cover their faces, storm the event, attack the security guards, and cause the event to be shut down due to security risks. This is retarded. Antifa does exactly that. The fact that the border force are executing silencing of free speech against journalists and speakers is appalling. Martin and Brittany are not hateful people. They are not terrorist supporters. They are peaceful people and they never encourage any kind of violence against anybody. But somehow the Home Office thinks that giving a speech that might go against somebody's view is inciting hate. Because apparently the people who disagree with that view are violent and hateful. You know what upsets me even more? Martin was denied entry in the platform, while at the same time, a Pakistani man who was banned from speaking in Pakistan because of how extreme he is, was allowed to go on a UK tour and give speeches in various mosques. A man who literally praised a murderer was allowed to talk in the UK, while Martin, a European patriot, was not. Where the fuck is the logic here? My view is, if a person disagrees with someone's opinion to the point that they become violent and abusive to shut down that opinion, they're being violent little snowflakes. Idiotic ones as well. You know what normal people do when we hear an opposing opinion? We either start a discussion and present our own arguments, or we ignore that opinion and move on with our lives. We do not try to shut down anybody's free speech, no matter how much we disagree with it. Personally, I love it when people who oppose my opinion comment on my content. First of all, if they're rational people, I get to go into a civilized discussion with them. And second, if they're offended little snowflakes, I get to be entertained and trigger them even more. Saves me money on a circus ticket. Now, Brittany was denied entry because she planned to do an interview with Tommy Robinson. If you don't know who Tommy is, I'd suggest you look it up. But let me just say that he's not the awful racist person the media portrays him to be. He's actually the furthest thing from being a racist. He is a British patriot who loves his country and cares about the people who live in it. He is definitely not a far-right leader, and he is definitely not a far-right extremist. This is just ridiculous. Journalists like Brittany should be allowed to travel to any country they like, considering they have all the proper documentations and visas to enter that country, and interview whoever they like, as well as report on whatever news they like. This is what journalism is. Brittany had all the proper documentation to enter the UK, obviously. However, she was denied entry just because she was about to interview a person who some people disagree with. Shocker! People have different opinions. No shit. That doesn't mean that we should stop people from entering countries to conduct interviews just because somebody disagrees with those opinions. Brittany and Martin were held in separate cells until they were deported back into Austria on Sunday. Next thing you know, Lawrence Southern was also detained at the border when she tried to enter the UK on a bus through France. A beautiful, harmless Canadian girl the same age as me was detained and held under the Schedule 7 Terrorism Act. Terrorism Act. I know that anybody at any age can be a terrorist. Even little kids can be brainwashed to be terrorists. However, if you follow Lauren's work, you'd know that she's definitely not a terrorist. She's actually very much against any kind of terrorism or violence. Lauren was questioned about her Christianity and was even asked how she felt about running people over with a truck, specifically Muslim people. Seriously? Seriously? Out of all the people who cross the border into the UK, it's the people who advocate against violence and terrorism who are being stopped, questioned, and deported, as well as banned for life, just like Lauren was. Let's just consider the fact that the UK has allowed over 400 known jihadists and ISIS fighters back into the country. But clearly, they're not a threat to our country whatsoever. A Canadian girl with controversial opinions is very, very dangerous, apparently. Can you guess what Lauren did that caused her to be accused of being a potential terrorist? Well, some time ago, Lauren and her friends came across an article that claimed that Jesus might have been a homosexual. Of course, it was a Vice article. It wasn't only Vice that did an article about this, it was also The Guardian. And of course, it was accepted, because saying anything against it would cause people to be called bigots and homophobic. And we live in a society that accepts and loves gay people. And that's completely normal. So Lauren and her friends decided to do a social experiment. They pretended to be left-wing activists and set up a stand that said, Allah is a gay god. And they handed out these flyers that said, Allah is gay, Allah is trans, Allah is a lesbian, Allah is intersex, Allah is feminist, Allah is queer, Allah is for all of us, LGBT for Islam UK. So basically, they were advocating for Islam being a religion that accepts all people, no matter their sexuality, their gender, all of that. And of course, being the peaceful religion that it is, a lot of Muslims got very offended and reported them to the police. Because of course, saying those kind of things about any other religion here in the UK, whether it will be Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, all of that, is completely acceptable. But when it comes to Islam, no. That's haram. Clearly, we don't live in a society that accepts all genders and sexualities, right? Oh wait, we do. The police confiscated the flyers and warned the group from taking part in such activities, because of course, offending the fragile little feelings of Muslim people is a big no-no in our country. The social experiment ended with Lauren being completely banned from the UK for, and I quote, distributing racist material. I'm sorry, but since when is Islam a race? Because last time I checked, Islam is a religion, and anybody, no matter their race, can be a Muslim. But not in the UK, it's not. Unlike all other religions that are treated as religions, Islam is treated as a special protected race. Apparently, saying that Allah is accepting all people gets you banned from the country, while marching on the streets yelling Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, which basically means kill everybody in Israel, is completely acceptable. I don't even know what to say. I came into this country because I love this culture and I love the language, and I always thought that Britain was one of the best and most beautiful countries in Europe. I came here embracing this culture. But what the hell is going on now? Right now, the UK seems like a place where free speech is illegal unless it's hate speech against Trump and Israel, where people who love this country and want to visit their friends are not being allowed in while actual jihadists are. What is going on? If you guys want to hear the full stories, obviously Brittany, Martin and Lauren did a much better job than I ever could at telling them. I'm just here to express my point of view on the subject. All the links to their videos will be in the description as always. I just hope the Home Office won't put me down on their list of people who shouldn't be allowed back into the country. That would be upsetting. This Sunday, I will be at Speaker's Corner again, where Tommy Robinson will be reading Martin's speech out loud. I really hope I will be able to get an interview with him, as well as with Paul Joseph Watson, who is also planning to be there. So if you have any questions that you'd like me to ask them, you have just over a day to leave them in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay logical, stay rational. I will see you next time. 'Cause I'm